Crypto is a beautiful market. It's completely transparent. We know everything that's going on for any platform. The issue is most people don't know how to interpret all of that data. What is relevant? What is not relevant? In this video, we're going to look at Chainlink and we're going to look at the things that really matter. Here is what most people look at: the Chainlink price in US dollars. And there are many problems with this chart. The first problem is that this is a linear scale. We want to look at this on a logarithmic scale to get a feeling of different percentage changes at points in time. So that's adjustment number one. But we need to change this further because now we just look at the Chainlink price. The problem is there is a lot of correlation within crypto, right? When Bitcoin is going up, then many altcoins, including Chainlink, go up as well. When Bitcoin is going down, then all the altcoins crash as well. Now, the reason why we get into any altcoin in the first place is to get outperformance over Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? Why do we take on all of this additional risk with buying an altcoin? It's to get more performance. If we get the same performance, why take on the additional risk? Then we have worse risk-adjusted performance. And so here we've got Chainlink relative to Ethereum. So not the US dollar chart, but the Ethereum denominated chart. Since the top in August of 2020, Chainlink underperformed Ethereum by 86%. We're going to talk about why in a second. Here's a very similar chart. This is now Chainlink relative to Bitcoin. The underperformance from the top to today is 91%. So had you decided to buy Chainlink in August of 2020 because the price performance was so great relative to Bitcoin, you would have gotten completely burned. You would have only 1/10 of the capital over the decision of buying Bitcoin directly. But over here, this line already indicates what this video is going to discuss in more detail. In the medium term, we tend to be quite cheap in Chainlink. A doubling is very much possible. Now there's also the metric of dominance, as in we look at all of the cryptocurrencies market cap of all different assets. We add this together in the entire market cap, and then we look at an individual assets market cap and we put this in relation, as in how important is an individual asset within the crypto space. And that's shown in this chart. The link dominance. It peaked again in August of 2020 at 1.8% and it's now at 0.3%. But again, it seems like we are close to a technical floor. Chainlink tends to outperform at least most altcoins right now. Now, what's the potential upside? Here are two potential targets: an outperformance versus the rest of crypto of 80%, or potentially even 150%. Now, I try to be as objective as possible on this channel. I don't just want to shill a token because it's currently comparatively cheap. I also want to look at the reasons why, for example, Chainlink tended to underperform in the past. Why did Chainlink do that poorly? Why did the dominance fell from 1.8% to 0.3%? The answer is tokenomics. Over time, more and more Link tokens get issued and the team pays out those tokens, sells them potentially to finance operations. And so we went from 350 million Link tokens to now 588 million. And the cap is at 1 billion. Now, here's what I think is going on with those price charts. The long-term underperformance makes sense because of all the Link issuance. But why do we sometimes see those rallies that then subsequently deflate? What I think is going on is that the team is building something, then announcing, say, a new protocol or a new feature, and that then creates a lot of excitement around Link. That then pushes up the price. Once the price is high enough, then the insiders, then the team sells off again. And so this is a never-ending cycle. So I think there is somewhat of an increased likelihood that rather sooner than later, we will get another announcement of something positive for Link. The price will rally again and the team will sell off in the subsequent weeks. Now, here's the nice thing about Chainlink. Chainlink is a central part of decentralized finance. All the borrowing and lending platforms, they need an oracle, they need a data source for prices to estimate the value of collateral, etc. And Chainlink is the safest of those options. Yes, there are competitors like PIF, etc. But really, Chainlink is dominating the market. It's pretty much a winner takes most market. And because of that usage, Link will always have some value. Now what we see over here is the generated fees over time. And again, it's not growing that much, it's not shrinking that much, it's relatively constant as one might expect. The reason for the massive price fluctuations is again tokenomics and news. Have a look at the staked Chainlink. It is good to keep an eye on this number because when a lot of Link is staked, that means that this is at least temporarily supply that's not in circulation. In other words, when this is high and it tends to trend down, more and more supply hits the market, depressing the price. Now let's have a look how much this is true. We had a peak in staking in the middle of December 2024, and this is also where the Link dominance was extremely high. Investors then unstaked their Link tokens, and that then of course also led to the market getting flooded with the tokens and the price underperforming the rest. Now currently the staking tends to be positive. So again, another sign that the Link token could in the next weeks or potentially months outperform. Let's have a look at a few more on-chain metrics. So on the Ethereum chain, we've got more than 760,000 wallets that hold at least some Link. What we're seeing over here are different wallet cohorts. So on the left, we see the number of wallets that have at least 100 Link tokens. So at the current price, that's roughly $1,500. And no, there are not 760,000 such wallets. There's quote unquote only 130,000 such wallets. Still a very large number. The number of medium-sized holders, so that's now 1,000 tokens or $15,000 worth of the token, that's at 25,000. And then we've got quote unquote the whales. So it's 150K in Link. There are 3,500 such wallets. Now we do not see a lot of accumulation of Link in the last months. That is true if we ignore the largest of the wallets. Now this is the wallets that have at least 1.5 million worth of Link. And those kind of wallets tend to go up over time. Again, this is a very long-term chart. It starts in 2018. So the smart money, right? The heavyweights, they are accumulating Chainlink. And that's probably what's creating all of those price floors, right? It's the institutional money that buys into the central piece of decentralized finance. In general, I like such a setup. I like when the smart money, when the big money is getting into a project, because in general, they tend to hold for a longer time. And also on average, they tend to make the right calls, right? Crypto is both a game of luck and skill. And the more the game is played, of course, the more the capital concentrates towards the people that have some skill. So the people that have more capital probably as per tendency also tend to have a bit more skill. They tend to make better choices. And they are choosing to accumulate Chainlink over the long term. Now, fundamentally, the problem is that returns are very much concentrated in a few assets. Most assets tend to go down, and there are a few altcoins that make the multiple X returns. And the problem is those assets change over time. What worked well yesterday might not work tomorrow. And so it's always a game against the odds. And so we can't really deploy a lot of capital in those trades. If the likelihood of losing is very high, it means we can't deploy too much in the position. It also means we can't necessarily diversify, because if we now own 10 or 20 tokens, most of those tokens are losing. And if then the few outliers make up for all the losses is a completely different question. It's very unclear. Now there is a way to make money a bit more consistently, and that's actually trading the larger tokens. The issue with the larger tokens though is that they move very much in tandem with the overall market. As in when Bitcoin goes up, then Solana tends to go up as well, Ethereum tends to go up as well. But there are movements within crypto where sometimes a particular asset class is more preferred than another one. And we can play on that relative valuation. We can play on attention moving from A to B within crypto without having to try to find the few winners. For example, have a look at this. This is the Solana dominance. So how much of all of crypto is currently in SOL? And there seems to be somewhat of an invisible ceiling between 3 to 4%. This is where Solana historically had been very expensive. Or have a look at this. This is the Ethereum dominance. It tends to be very cheap when only 7% of all of cryptocurrency's market cap is in ETH. It tends to be expensive when it's around 20 or 21%. And so we can benefit from this independent of where the US dollar valuations go. So if Bitcoin is going up or down does not interest us. The only thing that interests us is whether or not Ethereum will perform better than Solana or Solana will perform better than Ethereum, just relatively speaking. So I saw that set up when Ethereum was extremely cheap in the middle of April. We got very close to the historical low that was formed in September of 2019. And so have a look at this. This is Solana relative to Ethereum. And when ETH hit that low point, I shorted Solana relative to ETH. So I was not interested at all in the Solana US dollar price or in the Ethereum US dollar price. I was only interested in the relative valuation. I saw we are high on the trading range and I bet on that range coming down. So here's that post. It's from April 13th. I'm opening a relative valuation short of SOL to Ethereum using Venus Finance. More information will be provided in a few hours in today's premium update video. So I publish premium updates every 3 to 4 days. And then on May 20th, I closed the position. And of course, other members made money with this as well. But I want to share something here. This is when the position was opened. Here is when the position was closed. And I want you to look at the Solana value. Again, we bet on Solana doing worse than Ethereum. Solana itself actually went up during the time. It appreciated by 25%, but Ethereum appreciated more than that. It went up by more than 50%. And so we completely canceled out the macro. We are not interested at all whether or not everything is going up or down on a given day. We made money just on the relative valuation. So within those few weeks, we went from 43K to almost 60K. Yes, I know these kind of strategies might seem a bit complex, and why don't we just buy an altcoin and make it 10x? But again, it's all about risk-adjusted returns. If we want to bet significant capital, tens of thousands of dollars, or let's say relative to your net worth, high percentages. If we don't just want to play with play money, but we actually want to make real gains, we need to use strategies that don't have an 80 or 90% chance of failure. I see people making these mistakes all the time. I even see people making mistakes with their risk off position. So let's say they don't want to be exposed to crypto, they just want to be in stable coins, that those stable coins just stay laying in the wallet. But there are opportunities to make very nice constant returns even with stable coins. So this is 16% APR. This can be achieved on Hyperliquid without a single trade. This is all just automated arbitrage by the market maker. But of course, I've also got my risk on part of the portfolio. And here's something other people don't show. Most people just show individual trades and say, hey, this is how we always make money. Very few people are actually willing to share their overall portfolio performance. Now, I started trading on Hyperliquid on April 22nd, and here is my P&L over time. And since I'm sharing all of my trades, the members can just copy me. And this is actually very nice feedback. The same kind of portfolio development chart. This chart tells a story, first trying it without any support, and then afterwards, where this green arrow is shown, exclusively following Gerhard's trade and slowly digging out of the hole. If you've got the right risk management in place, there's actually a lot of money to be made in this market still. But actually, I don't want that everybody is just copy trading me. The community is about elevating our skills. It's about learning as much as possible, helping each other, finding market opportunities, and then of course capitalizing on those opportunities. So I've actually made more than 100 tutorial videos just on various topics within crypto, risk management, portfolio valuation, blockchain analysis. Feel free to binge watch this. It's actually nice to get those DMs. Hey Gerhard, I just wanted to thanks a lot for everything you've done. Since I've only been listening to you, I've been consistently profitable now. I just entered your, I've blacked this out, XYZ position as well. Or here, this is also another nice message. I'm not going to read through all of this. Feel free to stop the video. But yeah, if you want to join us, if you want to copy trade me, if you want to learn more about crypto, feel free to check it out. It's currently $125 per month. The price has actually been lowered because now the attention on crypto is much lower than it used to be a few months back. Once the masses come back in again, then the price will be back to $165. So if you're signing up today, you will never pay a higher price. If it's your first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish here regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time on YouTube or see you in Premium. Cheers.